Today's show is sponsored by our friends at OrcaCoolers.com. From roto-molded coolers that keep your ice good for days. They have drinkware like the barrel, the football barrel, the shorty, the stein, the teeny, the vino. They have chasers. They have coffee campers and travelers. All sorts of stuff. It's going to keep your drinks cold or hot. You're going to have coolers that will keep ice for days, and they're bear-proof. Go to OrcaCoolers.com/bourbon for 15% off your order. That's OrcaCoolers.com/bourbon. Today's show is also sponsored by our friends at Old Limestone Mixing Water. It is the mixing water of Kentucky bourbon. We are firm believers here at Dad's Drinking Bourbon. Drink however you want to drink. You want ice in it? Put ice in it. You want to put some water in it? Put water in it. And if you're going to put water in it, use water that was filtered through limestone in an aquifer that's 130 feet under the ground. Old Limestone's unique Kentucky limestone aquifer produces a rich, velvety, smooth water with hints of calcium and magnesium, which amplify flavors. Yet with no iron at all, you can make bourbon anywhere you want, but 95% of it is made in Kentucky because the water is special. Use Old Limestone water to mix. Take the taste test. Pour a bourbon neat. Sip it. Now add Old Limestone, swirl it, and sip again. Check out Old Limestone at oldlimestone.com, or they're available at a store near you or online.
Bourbon and Beyond this September in Louisville, Kentucky with Bruno Mars, The Killers, Black Keys, Brandy Carlisle, plus Duran Duran, Billy Strings, Black Crows, the Avett Brothers, Blondie, and so many more. Bourbon and Beyond, September 14th through 17th in Louisville, Kentucky. All passes on sale now at bourbonandbeyond.com.
Hello, everyone. My name is John Edwards. With me, as always, is Zeke Baker, and together we make the Dad's Drinking Bourbon. Wherever you are, whatever time it is, thank you for making us part of your day. Zeke, are you with me?
Barely.
You had a rough day yesterday. Tell me about your day. You flew from Nashville to New York to Chicago, back to Nashville. You got a tattoo on your ass. Tell me all about it.
Yeah, we departed. The first flight, I think, was at 8:10 in the morning from here to LaGuardia. Left LaGuardia about
LaGuardia.
Hey, you say it your way, I'll say it mine.
It's LaGuardia. I flew in there. I mean, I only worked in New York and flew into LaGuardia all the time.
Cool story, bro.
All right, so you got a tattoo on your ass. You got a free cocktail for the rest of your life every day. Tell me about it.
I think they're going to lose on that deal. But yeah, so we went to all three Mother's Ruins. There's one in Chicago, one in Nashville, one in New York, which is why we flew into LaGuardia. And so, our buddy Mike Hines, he jumped in, went with us. Carlos and Chris went. Seth Weinberg here in town did it. Anthony C., a few other people.
I love how I thought you were going to be slumming it, but the second Hines went, you had limos taking you from the airport to Mother's Ruin. You guys did it right.
Yeah, we walked out of the first airport, and he's like, I'll get us a ride. Don't worry. I'm like, okay. And there's like this private driver there with a Sprinter van that's like decked out. It's got 4 captain's chairs, plush leather, a big screen TV. We stop and get Joe's Pizza. Does it up right.
Yeah. For those of you listening, this is going to be one of those episodes I don't edit much because I want to get this out this week because I'm so excited for our 2 guests. And speaking of which, one of these guests still owes me a tattoo session, and I'm going to be getting a tattoo with one of them. Jackie, you know it's you. And
the pizza slice tattoo.
Yeah, we're getting a pizza slice tattoo.
We agreed on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
we're supposed to do it in New Orleans, but
we missed it. I got to see your amazing, and I want to talk about that too, because your session was one of the best sessions at New Orleans Bourbon Festival. And I'm even saying this, I did a session and it wasn't even close to as good as yours. But we have Jackie Zykan, we have Nate Winegar, we have the folks from Hidden Barn Whiskey on today. I am so excited to have both of you. Thank you for joining Dad's Drinking Bourbon.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Truly
Cheers,
a pleasure to be here.
Nate doesn't want to say anything.
Nah, I'm excited, man. Excited to be on here. I'm looking at Zeke's hairy chest on the video. It looks fantastic. I saw his tattoo. I feel like I'm ready, primed to go, man.
You saw his ass. I mean, I love how you guys get to see this. So this is typically how Zeke and I record. Like before the pandemic, we would always be in person. And post the pandemic, we really phoned it in and we're okay like Zooming each other, even though he lives, 20 minutes up the road. And every time I sign in, I don't know what he's going to look like. Like he might have his shirt completely buttoned down. He has this flannel shirt from Maker's Mark he wears all the time that he just lets completely go. But like tonight, he's got the deep V. It is a deep, deep, deep V.
Yeah.
I like to be comfortable in
when
my
you're
own home.
you're like, show us your ass. And I just thought to myself, like, did I miss? Is this just like part of the show every time that like there's a ceremonial like Zeke ass moment? But like, I don't know. Here we are,
I mean, if you're going to get the Mother's Ruin.
Oh, I feel special now.
If you are going to get the Mother's Ruin tattoo on your ass, you got to show it off, right? Like,
are you applying the proper ointment to that thing, Zeke? I just want to make sure.
Yeah. I put cream on it right before we got on the show, actually.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
I tried to do that before we jumped on.
That's good to know.
Jackie,
Do you get to pick the location for the tattoo? Oh, so you chose the ass tattoo.
Yeah, well, actually, all three of us did, but.
Perfect.
I mean, I don't think you want the Mother's Ruin tattoo anywhere else but your ass, right?
Oh my gosh. And he's showing us a picture of all of them. I don't know. Part of me thinks it would have been funnier and certainly more accessible in public spaces if you would have gotten the tramp stamp version of the Mother's Ruin tattoo.
Great.
But maybe that space is already occupied, knowing you. So
No, I just got too much hair right there. That's the lines made.
Wait. The best part about that whole statement was knowing you.
Too
Second was
much
that it's
hair.
maybe already occupied. That was the second statement. Yeah, might already be occupied.
But she's like, it might already be occupied knowing you. Zeke does have a Dixie chicken on his back. What else you got?
what?
He has a Dixie chicken on his back.
Yeah, I have
Is
a big
that it?
chicken on. I have the logo from the bar, the Dixie Chicken that's in College Station, Texas. That's on one shoulder, and then I have like this medicine man from when I was in the Scouts when I was younger on the other shoulder.
And that's
I
it?
can-
Just the 3 tattoos?
Yeah, so it was kind of a bummer on this one because my first two, I could always say, like, I have never met a soul that has either one of these tattoos on their body or anything similar to it. So at 41, I felt pretty good about that. And now I'm like, man, now a bunch of us got this son of a bitch. But, it is what it is.
There was
At
only
least,
like 17 people that did it.
Well, plus Carlos and I went back and found the original logo, not the wide one, but the one that has Mother's and then Ruin up under instead of side by side. So I think we're the only two that got that one. So I feel pretty good about that.
Now, hold on a sec, though. Is it unlimited cocktails when you go, or just you get
No, one per
I
day.
mean, let's be honest.
Oh, my gosh.
You think they're going to? I mean, they're going to give us these in little engraved cards. I don't see them shooting me down if I need more than one to, get the day going.
Oh my gosh.
But that's what Zeke did during Mother's Day yesterday. So for those of you that are listening this week, my wife decided to have a girls' weekend. So she was hiking all weekend, and I had a great weekend with my daughter. But Zeke was flying around the country, going to Mother's Ruin and getting cocktails. So congratulations, Zeke. We're really proud of you. Good job on the ass tattoo. And when Jackie and I are getting a tattoo of pizza, we will not be. I mean, we could change it, Jackie. We could do whatever you want. Like pizza's great.
Deal's the deal.
Okay, perfect.
We agreed on it because we were sitting there eating pizza. That's where the pizza slice came from. And we have to stick with the pizza.
I am okay with the pizza, and I mean, I have tattoos. I am eventually going to get a sleeve. Zeke knows I am in the middle of getting zapped. So I'm getting all my hair taken away from my arm, and then I will get a whole sleeve.
Dude, getting that done over skin with a tattoo is the most painful thing in the entire world. I know this from experience. It sucks. It's terrible.
Yeah, so I'm not getting. So my tattoo that I already have is not getting lasered. So the problem is like I see all around it and all like the hair is gone. And then it's just like I have to shave where my tattoo is every day now.
Ooh.
And
I feel like in that case, you need to get a tattoo of like Bigfoot or something like really hairy anyways. So you just let it grow in naturally for the tattoo itself.
oh no, now that I'm like starting to get the laser, I'm like 5 treatments in. I don't want any hair. Like I'm almost like just do it over my tattoo. Like I'm fine. I will get it again. Like I'm okay. I just don't want it there anymore.
John,
What
is
kind of
that
person gets a tattoo with himself?
Yeah.
What?
So what kind of person gets a tattoo with himself if he gets Bigfoot?
oh, somebody's got jokes.
What is the tattoo of there, John?
What?
I was confused.
Well,
what's your tattoo of on your arm?
I mean, you can see it. It is actually this one here is a logo from Jimmy Eat World. I'm okay saying it. I was an emo kid. I was in an emo band, and this is a logo from Jimmy Eat World, and I'm okay saying that.
Yeah, if you were going for the Hank Williams logo, it didn't quite turn out too well.
I mean, it also translates to why I'm such a Swiftie, because I really do just enjoy emo music, and that's okay.
I love it, man.
That's okay.
That is okay. But welcome. Now that we've like deviated for 10 minutes and we haven't talked anything about whiskey, welcome to both of you to Dad's Drinking Bourbon. Jackie Zykan is a legend, and I'm sure she's sick of hearing that over and over and over. But, you know, we know that she has a great career from bartending to Jackie, I have a great story for you that has nothing to do with. So we had this guy on. So I interviewed the Tennessee Whiskey Trail, and they're doing a whole Tennessee Whiskey Week this week. And every night there is a different dinner and all sorts of stuff going on. And this guy came on from the bar at the Cumberland at JW Marriott. And he was like, I'm a mixologist and all this thing. And so I was like, all right, cool. You're making Taylor Swift cocktails. I completely stopped this whole podcast to talk about his Taylor Swift cocktails. And like the first one he named like Jake's Lament. And I'm like, all right, that's a really bad name for a cocktail. And like he did this whole thing after all of these Taylor Swift exes. And I was like, all right, what's in your cocktail? And he told me what's in his cocktail. And I was like, yeah, I know those flavors all too well. And then the next one, he was like, it's Mayor's Tears. And he goes through this whole thing. And I'm like, do you woulda, coulda, shoulda, wish you used different fruit in that drink? And then the next one, he did like Taylor Lautner. And yes, I know Back to December is about Taylor Lautner, but I'm like, I don't even think she wrote a song about Taylor Lautner. Like, Taylor was a footnote in her life. She was in Valentine's Day with him. And so we go to the next one, and he named it after Harry Styles. And I was like, all right, you got yourself out of the woods with that drink. And then
did he pick up on like your commentary?
So the best thing was there was this young publicist in there, and there was the head of the president of the USBG in Nashville. Both of them got my jokes. Andy Nelson was in the room from Nelson Greenbrier. Charity, the executive director of the Tennessee Whiskey Trail, was in the room. Andy's wife was in the room. Like, there were a couple other people. Nobody else got the joke but those two people. And
what?
And Andy at one point was like, the oxygen is completely out of this room because nobody is getting your jokes. It was.
I would just think if you were, and I'm not judging, I'm sure like it's an amazing human and amazing drinks and a lot of creativity, but I just think like if you were going to like really get into Taylor Swift to the point where you're creating an entire menu based around Taylor Swift's personal information, that you would pick up on jokes like that coming through,
like,
right?
Calvin Harris, Joe Jonas, even Joe Alwyn, like all these people, like there was so much ripe stuff, and like to name the drinks. You could have named the drink after the song, or you could have used a lyric in the song. And he's like, yeah, just the front desk girl named these drinks. I'm like, the front desk girl needs to leave.
Oh.
Do you understand what the hell is happening right now?
Oh no, I've been in full blackout mode for the past 10 minutes.
Okay,
He says T Swift, and I turn it all off. Like he knows.
He knows. And my Instagram posts on Tuesdays, Zeke just makes fun of me because I do Taylor Tuesdays, and I am unapologetically like, I don't care. Like I am very manly.
John and I never, ever, ever, ever talk music.
I mean, I like your music. Zeke and I have gone to an Alabama show together. Like, we like the same music. He just does not like when I like Taylor Swift.
Not with Garth, I mean.
Oh, we went to Garth too. I completely forgot about that. That was a great show.
Was it? So memorable.
Anyways, both of you. So we know, and I'm just going to skip the bullshit. Like, y'all know, and I was saying this before, Jackie has had an illustrious career from her days behind the bar to her days at Old Forester. We all know everything she has done. I am not downplaying that at all. I just don't want this to be a podcast where we're like, tell us about your past. We want to talk about the future. We want to talk about what's going on. Same thing with Nate. Nate has had this amazing, I mean, we were talking about this before we even started recording. We've had Nate's picks since 2017, what he's done with 5280 whiskey out in Colorado. We remember Nate before he even showed his face, like back when he was like, I got this job, I can't show my face online. Like, that's how long we have been friends with Nate. We love these two individuals. We love that they have turned everything into Hidden Barn. But we kind of want to know, like, tell us the story. We know Jackie was coming out there with Old Forester. She met you. You all became friends. But, like, tell us how Hidden Barn even started from the beginning.
Nate's got to take this one because I wasn't part of it from the beginning. I was the late addition to the club here. So I'm handing this over to him.
I didn't even know this.
Yeah.
Truth. I mean,
I crashed the wedding.
Rule 76, play like a champion.
So, yeah, just to start, and I think some people have probably heard it before. Jackie and I met in Colorado, Breckenridge, over a pour of whiskey, and that's kind of how this whole thing started. Long and short of it is, I met everybody that's part of this brand having a pour of whiskey or through something with whiskey and became friends, and it kind of grew. But for how Hidden Barn originally started was before COVID. Matt Dankner and I, who is my partner at 5280 Whiskey Society and is also one of our partners with Hidden Barn, does our operations finance for us. We were thinking, what's next for 5280 Whiskey Society, honestly, at that time. Like, we were like, what can we do? How can we take it to the next level? We want to continue to kind of expand on our whiskey journey. One of the things we thought about doing was opening a bar with a private club, kind of like the Jack Rose model or some of the models that you see more now, where you've got the bar and then you have like a private club attached that would be open for our members, and to continue to kind of expand on bringing whiskey to the masses, education, all of those things. And we were actually looking at property. We're looking at doing that right before COVID. And thank goodness we did not buy, because we would have been wiped out for sure during that, as unfortunately so many good people were. And we had been approached many times, and I've been approached many times from people that wanted to start brands, whiskey brands and other brands, spirits brands, and just asking questions like, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? Is this something we should do? And we didn't attach on to any of those. There wasn't really a good fit for us through some of those experiences. But after a while, we decided to talk and said, why don't we just look at doing this? This is something, maybe we should look at doing. And we have a lot of passion and love for whiskey and love for the people in whiskey. It's such about relationships. There's so many great people in whiskey. I just, it's something that I just truly wanted to be a part of, just because of all the good people involved. And so we decided to start looking into it. Now, believe me, wanting to start a brand and actually knowing what to do with a brand are two completely different things. There's a lot of people, I'm sure, right now that want to start a brand. You see things like huge sales of companies and whatnot. I'm sure everybody's like, oh, that sounds awesome. Let's do a label. Let's, get some whiskey and start putting out a brand. But the all of the things behind the scenes, it's such a complex thing. There's so many things that come with it.
No, I mean, let's talk about this for a second, because this is one of my favorite things to talk about on these shows, because everybody's like, oh, I want to start a whiskey brand. It would be so awesome. I'm such a connoisseur. And then you realize, like, there is licenses you need to get. You got to go to the TTB. You got to make a label. You got to do all this stuff. So tell me, like, talk about that, how you decided to make this brand and how you realized all of a sudden, oh shit, this is bigger than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, that happened pretty quickly. And Jackie and I have kind of a good experience that I'll get to here with that piece, where she kind of was bouncing some stuff off of her. Yeah, I would say, we didn't really know what we were doing to some extent. Obviously, we've picked a ton of single barrels, but that does not necessarily qualify you to have your own brand. It's fine and whatnot. But,
I mean, Zeke and I have done the same, right? And we are begging for somebody, but we don't have that kind of money. Like there's a whole backing you need too. Like, damn.
They're important too. Yeah, money's important too. But I would say, one of the things that we thought of is like whiskey and how do we get whiskey. People don't realize, number one, how much demand there is for whiskey, how limited good quality whiskey is. There's whiskey on the market. There's whiskey that you can get to get quality whiskey. The second thing is whiskey needs to go in something, and it's called a whiskey. It's called New American Oak Barrel, and they're not growing on trees.
They are on trees, though.
Oh, that's right. They were trees. But you know what? They are very, very difficult to come by. And if you don't already have a relationship or connection with a cooperage, good luck, because everybody needs it, and there's just not that many out there. And they're expensive.
And hell, Nate, not even to cut you off. I mean, there was even a glass shortage in the middle of the damn pandemic. So, like, you think about everything that's going on. You're losing barrels, you're losing glass, you're losing corks. I mean, like, everything is at a premium right now. So why the hell did you decide to start a brand?
Yeah, well, we started to wonder that a little bit, but we were passionate. We wanted to go through with it. I had met Royce Neely actually a couple times. Once in New Orleans, John. I think that year that we were all down there, maybe the first year or something like that, or second year, and had met him and was really impressed. He was in like a breakout seminar. It was like Andrew Weebrink and maybe like Trey Zeller. And Royce was just like asking all these crazy questions. And I was like, oh my God, like, who is this young kid that like was making me look like I absolutely know zero about whiskey, which was true. I probably did know very little about whiskey because there's so much to learn, but I still have a lot to learn about whiskey. But I was like really impressed. So I pulled him aside, introduced myself. We had a pour later. And then he ended up coming out. He was in a movie, Kindred Spirits, I think was the name of it. He was in a movie, and we brought him out with 5280 to do a charity movie screen. We brought all the whiskey clubs together and showed it at an old movie theater, and then had pours and a charity auction there. And so he had come out, and that's where really had gotten to know him more. And so that was the first person I thought of to reach out to. I was like, Royce is making whiskey. He's got his own distillery in Kentucky. I've tasted his whiskey. I like his whiskey. Let's reach out to him and see if he'd be someone that'd be interested in looking at being a part of this. And so we reached out to him, and he was kind of like, well, what do you guys want to do? And we're like, so we were kind of telling him and going through that. And we had started kind of the planning. And what we originally started with was way different than where we're at now, of course. But we were looking at like, hey, if we move 40 barrels a year, wow, that's like that's good for us. That 40 barrels a year mark, and just start out really slow and just get a label and kind of go that way. And then jump forward. Jackie's been a good friend since, like I said, we met before, and she would come out here, and my wife Jackie and I would go and get the daily or the yearly exercise, not the daily. I wish I exercised daily. That's a lie. If anybody sees me, you know that. But the yearly exercise, we would go cross country skiing, snowshoeing, something outdoorsy. Jackie's very outdoorsy, and she would get us to leave our house and go do that. And we were up actually cross country. No, we're cross country skiing, and I thought, hey, I'm gonna just bounce a couple things off Jackie about this. Let her know we hadn't told a soul. We hadn't told anybody that we were planning on doing this. And I started bouncing questions off her, and she started giving some answers. And I was like, oh shit, we really, really don't know what we're in for here. Like, honestly, I didn't even know that there was different types of glass that needed to be like, this glass will hold this spirit, right? Like, I figured all glass can hold all liquid, but there were a lot of things that we started to learn, and things that you talked about. And so Jackie was, very helpful and knowledgeable from just her years, of being in the industry and whatnot. And so we just
even knowing like a screw top is better than a cork, even though everybody loves the cork, but the screw top holds it holds the air in there better. I know Jackie just shook her head at me, but
yeah, I don't know how well the screw top seems like it automatically puts you in a price point.
It puts you in a price point. It puts you in a price point, but it keeps the air in there better.
I just don't want a real cork. That's it. Just do synthetic, so it's not breakable. Nobody gives.
Well, so as we're sitting here, literally, I just poured, and this just broke. Like,
that's not broke. That's the seal came off from the glue to the cork, dummy.
Yeah, but it came off.
Well, nobody can see it. It's an audio podcast.
It's an audio podcast. I understand.
It held on the top of the cork, came off.
Breaks on cue. Yeah.
Thank you for the play-by-play.
Yeah. So long story short, we're talking, and I'm just like, half jokingly say to Jackie, Jackie, like a significant amount about, the things that we're trying to do. We're obviously in over our head. We're trying to get there. We're trying to learn these things. I said, we'd love to have you on. We'd love to have you. If you want to be a part of it ever, let me know. And that's kind of where we left it. Obviously, Jackie was, working with Old Forester, and Matt, Royce, and I then went to the table and started to really draw up Hidden Barn, work through what it will look like, and go into that piece. And then it was right up until the very end of almost launching batch one that Jackie came on. And I'll let you tell your kind of piece of that, Jackie, and kind of your story. But I mean, we were getting pretty close to the initial launch, and then Jackie made her decision. So.
Well, and Jackie, this isn't like the whole podcast to get you on and be like, tell us why you left Old Forester, but obviously, you're working with a brand. We all know the drill. Anybody who's listening to Dad's Drinking Bourbon, you are the 1% of bourbon drinkers, right? Like, you're going to listen to a podcast. These people know what a brand team is. And you're at this point where you're doing things at Old Forester, which is wash, rinse, repeat. It's okay, I have my, I have the birthday blend that I'm doing every year. I have occasional LTOs, but not too many. You have single barrels you're doing. Is this something where you kind of wanted to just branch out and do your own thing? Or was it just without spending too much time talking about the whole split, is it also your ability, you have all this knowledge, you have this backing, you have name recognition, and that you can go out and do more on your own, that you're almost kind of hindered. Everybody I've talked to, my friends that have left big brands before, Jeff Arnett, those folks, you're almost hindered by the brand because you have so many people telling you what to do. Is this kind of you just wanting to go explore and do whatever the hell you want, or what was this?
I mean, I had reached a point where the direction I wanted to go with my career and the focus that I wanted with it wasn't really conducive to something that they were historically doing.
Yeah.
So focusing on blending with many whiskey companies, producers out there has been, old world whiskeys, that's a roll, but with new world whiskeys, there's that sounds bad. To use the word blend is bad. And so I think there were some organizational shifts going on at the time. And I think it just became really clear to me that like where I want to focus my time isn't really going to be a path that's going to advance me. I can spend all the time in the world, just like I'll not use inappropriate language to the best of my ability.
You can say whatever the hell you want to say. Don't worry.
I'm very aware that's the scary part. But no, like you have a certain amount of stuff that you got to get done, but then you've got all this stuff that you want to get done. And the fact is you got to do them both at the same time. And I was just getting burnt out with it and was like, I'd rather just focus on one thing. And so I had other opportunities that I decided were probably just going to be the same thing, right? You still got a monkey on your back, just different color monkey, like that kind of situation going on. So I was like, at least with this team, because I didn't know Royce until right before the barrels for batch 1 had to be chosen. Like I didn't make a commitment to this project until I tasted the liquid. That obviously is the most important piece of it. And then once I did, and I was like, oh, okay, I feel like I can work with this. And so here we go. But like, don't get too excited about it. Like it was on paper, the dumbest decision I ever made, but for me, it was the best decision I ever made. Like every day since then, when people are like, how are you? Haven't seen you in a while. Like, really, what's going on? How are you? And I can 100% honestly answer, like, I am so good. Life is so good. I am so happy. Like I am doing everything by choice now, not because it's mandatory, and it is just amazing.
And so, for those of you, not to cut you off, Jackie, and yeah. By all means, I don't want to cut you off, but for those of you that don't know, like she has an amazing, like you have Ode to Oak, which is going on, and I want to give a plug for that because I got some of the cologne and I'm smelling right from it, but you have this whole kind of line that you're doing with that. You have Hidden Barn. Like there is a lot that you have going on that is not just like Hidden Barn.
Yeah. And I do other consultings and other blendings for other brands. I've just been very meticulous about who I've chosen to be public about involvement with, not because it's a poor product. I wouldn't be involved in if it was, but because it's important for me to give my attention to Hidden Barn and really promote that, So not to say you won't see other partnerships and collaborations coming up in the future. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. But for now, like, this is the baby. This is what needs nurturing. And like, here we are. But like, I don't know. Like, it's a scary decision to make when you are a single mom and the only one paying the bills in the house, and you're like, hey, why don't I just give up health insurance and my pension and my retirement plan and take like a 66% pay cut? Why don't I do that? That sounds like a great idea. This will be fun. But I don't regret it for a second. Not at all whatsoever.
And is it just like the fact that you get to then be in the driver's seat? Is that the thing that's so fun about it, or is it something else?
It's different. It's fresh, and it is kind of like whatever we want to do, we can do, which is great. But like, you're also limited by what's available on the market because we don't have our own distillery. I mean, like obviously Neely's a partner with us, but that's not the Hidden Barn distillery. So there are limitations still there, but we're dealing with a team that is really, really balanced. Everybody's got very different backgrounds, and it's like a little family. And yeah, you don't have to go through 13 levels of approvals if you want to get something done. You can do whatever. And everyone's like, well, let's give it a try, as opposed to like, well, we're kind of scared. Let's wait till someone else does that first. Like, no, like whatever, just give it a whirl. At the end of the day, it's fun to be in the driver's seat, but it's also, it's not fun when shit hits the fan and you're responsible for it, right? You can't hide under like levels of authority anymore. But I don't know, we have a good time. I think this team really does like embody the mission statement where like whiskey is just meant to be shared in good company, and we want to do our due diligence to highlight people that are doing things quality focused and really maintain the integrity of the category by doing so. So there's nothing wrong with that.
Not at all.
Easy to tell, like when someone's happy with a job. I mean, they told me as a kid, hell, they call it work for a reason, boy. What the hell you think? Like that's what it is. But the times we've hung out, it's not like your demeanor or anything else seems like I'm here and I don't want to be. I'm working. So and so told me I had to do this. It's just they smile and then like pure enjoyment from the core, which it's one of those things like people are. Your parents always tell you, like, I can tell you're really happy just the way you carry yourself. Like what? Like I wasn't carrying myself good. Like how long was that going on? Like what the hell?
Zeke, that was perfect.
You know
by
what
the
I
way,
mean?
that was 32 minutes in, and just so you know, I told Nate and Jackie Zeke's going to say something 30 minutes in. That was 32 minutes in, just for the record.
But you know what I mean? Like it's one of those things you just tell like somebody's like they genuinely enjoy what they're doing. That translates to so many other better things, both in the work and then just around people. So I think it's a good pull for you.
Yeah, I think so.
I'll tell you this too. I mean, all of us came from different areas of life and made the decision to move on from those areas. Both Matt and myself as well. I had a job with the government for 20 plus years, and I don't look back on it. And this was the best decision I've ever made in my life too. To be happy and to go after something you're passionate about and take those risks. It's scary. There's no question about it, but it also brings a lot of joy and happiness. And don't think that doesn't mean there's not stressful days and things you got to worry about. That's when you have a business, those are things that are there, but I wouldn't trade it for anything. And
well, so Nate, let's talk about this. Not to cut you off now, but like you had this government job. We all know, like I said, we knew you from the days where you couldn't show your face. And now you have to show your face everywhere, and you're traveling and you're doing all the stuff for Hidden Barn. How's that been to kind of make that change to now have that grind where you're away from the family, you're doing tastings, you're doing all that stuff? What's that been like for you?
Well, I'm really thankful to have someone like Jackie around that too, because the balance and taking care of yourself is critical. Because it's a total different thing, right? Like my other job was very stressful and intense. And you had to take care of yourself with that. And usually I would do it by the wrong ways, eating, smoking, drinking. But in this case, part of the job is.
No, I mean, I loved, by the way, KBF a couple years ago, we were there and you were like, John, and this is just, I'm saying this because Zeke is an asshole. You were like, John, I love your videos every morning. I love your stories every morning of you working out. And it's actually inspired me to do more. And Zeke is the first one who's like, hey, man, you hitting the gym again today? Like, and he's a jerk about it. But there were literally people out there that were like, listen, John, I know you're not like, I know you're not like this model, but you're going and grinding it every day. And I appreciate it. And I just want you to know that you were one of the people, like it inspires me when I get those messages from you.
Yeah, man.
And I appreciate that.
Well, it's good. It's good to see that, because I think it's important for people, like, and I've learned this quick in this industry. Number one, how hard people in this industry work. I was on the other side of it with 5280, and I was enjoying
the cigars and the food and the drinks.
Yeah, enjoying the pours and the events, and like sitting there like, man, this is awesome. Like Jackie's here talking to us about Old Forester, and I'm sitting here drinking and having a great time. And you don't understand behind the scenes. Like Jackie also had to go to 9 accounts that morning and do a training. And what you start to understand is the amount of effort and work the people in this industry are doing behind the scenes. And so if you're a whiskey club out there, or whiskey society or group like that, have that understanding. Like when these folks are coming to present to you, it's probably like the 7th thing they've done that day. They've probably been grinding all day. They've been traveling. They've been away from their families, all of those things. And that was probably lesson number 1 that I learned real quick, like how difficult and how hard you work. Just at the Kentucky Bourbon Festival, just standing at that booth, this will tell you everything you need to know about how hard it is. I was standing at that booth, we're pouring for people, which was fantastic. I was loving it, talking to people, pouring all day. I got offered like VIP tickets to Chris Stapleton.
Yeah.
And I was so fucking hurting physically and tired that I just went back to the hotel and went to bed. Like that's just me one day. So these guys are grinding every day in and out. So what I learned quickly, John, and I know you do the same as like you work out and do that, is like I've got to take care of myself when I'm not doing these. And I can have my vices, my cigars, my whiskey, do those things, stay out, have late night fun and parties, but I've got to balance that out with walking, sauna. Like,
oh man, saunas, like, let's just talk for a second, because like saunas are underrated, and like to sweat out all that shit is just so good for you.
I'm concerned you don't think I take care of myself.
No,
that's a little hurtful now.
Zeke takes a bath. So Zeke's whole thing
around the country getting tattoos for free drinks, brother. We might be on a different level. Now you probably take care of yourself.
Zeke gets ass tattoos, but he'll take a bath. So Zeke's big thing is he goes to the Y twice a week and he takes a bath and sweats it out. Like that is Zeke's routine. And sometimes I'll be like, hey Zeke, you want to record? He's like, I'm sweating it out in the bath right now. And I'm like, all right, man. Okay.
6'4" person in the bathtub does not go over well. That's all I'll say.
One day I want to do a podcast with him in the bathtub and just see how that goes. But we'll see.
It'll be pretty epic. But yeah, that's one of the things I learned pretty quick, is you got to take care of yourself and just how hard people in the industry work. So just know that.
Well, how many states are you all in right now?
We're getting there.
We're in Kentucky, Colorado, Missouri, and alive and well in all those. We just launched in Nevada, opening up Louisiana.
Why not Tennessee?
Tennessee's a tricky state with distribution.
We know this.
Sure so why are you asking? You know the answer to
we
this.
Could help you. That's what I'm saying. Is
No. See, that's another thing you learn real quick in this industry. Everybody wants to help you, and it just becomes a bigger pain in the ass. So like, no. It's not that I don't trust you. It's not that I don't believe you. It's that I know better. So I don't know. New Mexico's coming up. I mean, we've got Nebraska coming up. We got Georgia coming up. California, Florida. Like we're growing. Yeah. But we didn't want to expand and just go like, oh, everybody can have a case. Like we want to expand and maintain inventory in those states. We don't want to do that. Like just it takes a plan. You know, you can't just like bust it out there. So I don't know.
And every that's another thing we learned really quick. Every state is completely different. Mm-hmm. Like it is crazy how different every state is with what you have to do licensure wise, import wise, approval wise. Some states are really easy, like it's nothing. And then other states, I mean, we've been working with Louisiana for months now. It has been brutal, like to get into Louisiana. And, we're hoping that we're almost there and we can bring product out to those great folks. But it is difficult. So, we definitely want to hear your input, John. So we're not saying that. We just know that we don't want you to feel that. But we also know that there's so many things, so many distributors, so many options. So we're learning as we go. There's been a few mistakes that we've had or made or learned from, and the biggest thing is that we learn and just keep moving forward. So, and that's what we've done.
No, I'm just giving y'all hell. Don't worry. Like you're fine. But
we want to get there. We definitely want to get to Tennessee. I love Tennessee.
But how's that been though? I mean, you talk about that change, right? Where you realize there's a lot more work that goes into it. I know that with the pandemic, working with distributors has been a little different. Are you finding that you really need to go out there and do an in-person touch, or are you able to do, Zooms? How is this working, getting into new states and getting people educated about Hidden Barn and what goes into Hidden Barn?
Well, I mean, we always do like an in-person launch, right? When it's new markets, and then like support those markets as needed. There's, total 4 of us, right?
Yeah.
4 of us have to cover everything. You can't call up accounting. Like, we are accounting. He called the design department. We are the design department. Like, we're all of it. Like, all of the freaking pieces all at once. So we do our best, but like, I gotta say though, we've done a pretty good job of going, and even going like multiple of us will go into a market, which is even better because then they'll just split us up and then we're able to hit twice or not 3 times the accounts in the same amount of time as being there. And like, we actually like being together in person. So like it works.
Well, and that's something, I mean, that was, we all got to spend time together in New Orleans. Zeke was not there. Shocker. But we all got to spend time together in New Orleans, and it is very, very, very obvious how much you all like spending time together, to the point where, like, you know, Jackie was doing this amazing, it literally, and I know I put my foot in my mouth because I said a joke that wasn't funny, and I know this now. Like, I tried to be funny. I wasn't funny for one joke, but Jackie was up there in front of everyone going through all the things that you will smell and taste during your whole whiskey experience. And there were 10 envelopes. It literally was one of the best seminars I've ever been to in my whole life. And I was in the back with the whole Hidden Barn crew, and everybody was just giving Jackie shit during the whole presentation. And in a way where it's like, you know, it's like you give your friend shit because you really like them, and that was what it was, right? And I was right next to Royce, and I was right in between Nate and Royce, and we were having a great time, and the whole crew was back there. And just Jackie, like, I have to say, you did such a good job with that. I would love to, like, I wanted to record that. Like, that's one of those ones where I would love to record and just put that out as a podcast, because I think people would get so much information from it, like the different things that you get. And it really comes down to 10 different things that you get in your nose and in your taste from everything. But like, y'all have fun. Like, and that's the best thing. It was Hidden Barn was a part of it. We made sure that there were 4 Hidden Barns that we tasted during that seminar. But like, it just, like, I can't say enough how much fun y'all are having together. And then seeing you in the booth during the grand tasting, seeing everything everyone is doing. And then you got up there and y'all won an award. Like, congrats. For the New Orleans Bourbon Festival to win an award. That was a pretty big thing, especially like, man, Silverback and Rye wanted to win every award. So the fact that you got an award with them doing all of that, like, that's huge. And I just love everything y'all are doing, and it's fun to see y'all work together.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, it is important that we do get along and we respect each other, and we respect each other's ideas and values, and that makes it special for us to be able to work with people we actually enjoy spending time with. And I will tell you this: that's a perfect example of that seminar, though. The behind the scenes and the things that Jackie had to do to get that thing is hours. And I could not believe, because we did it at the Stanley Hotel out in Colorado too. We did there was a Nicolas Cage movie, and they had us come out as Hidden Barn for the Western whiskey, and quite the movie. If you haven't seen it, it's a Western movie Nicolas Cage did. It's rivals The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, I'm sure, for most people.
Oh, I'm sure, right? Like, yes. Nicolas Cage was in it.
Yeah, but we did it out there, and man, it took Jackie, I don't know how many hours, but at least
a lot.
Yeah,
let's just call it a lot.
20 plus hours to do that, but it is such an informative thing, and it is so educational, and we want to educate people too as well, and we don't just want to do things half-assed. And when Jackie puts her mind to something, she does. I mean, it's the best of the best. So it was fun to be a part of that, and that's a really cool learning experience. But
I mean, like, even with all those hours put in and like all the nightmare of it, like, we're all sharing a house together, right? Up in frickin' Estes Park, like rocking out to Phil Collins and Garth Brooks randomly, and just like we just, I don't know, like you can
Yeah.
get work done and not be miserable with it, you know? So I don't know. I feel like they are my brothers in a certain way. So I just like get to work with like, I don't know. It's interesting. But the dynamic is just, it's great. It's absolutely great.
I
We all
mean,
know
I
each
can
other's,
feel it
like,
coming in the air
families and
tonight.
stuff.
Like when y'all are
Wow.
together.
Again, really?
Yeah.
Am I the only one catching on to your jokes?
No, it's just everybody else that knows to ignore him. When he said, I've
Oh,
only told
okay.
one bad
Okay.
joke, that was the first lie and probably the third bad joke.
No, it was really like this bad joke. It was really a bad joke in the middle of Jackie's session.
There's things he's known for, and bad jokes are one of them.
And like, I know Jackie looked at me like, I hate you. Like,
No, not at all.
It was-
I mean,
it was a really bad joke. It wasn't even good. Like, and Nate even like,
low hanging fruit, you know?
yeah, it was low hanging
That's okay.
fruit. And I'm sorry.
We're-
Like, Jackie, I want you to know I left that session like feeling worse about myself from that joke. And I was like, one day, and then I like tried to, it was even to the point where like I tried to over apologize the next day. And I was like, I'm digging myself a grave. So I'm going to stop.
Yeah.
John's
It's all
known in
good.
group chats for telling a joke, and then the chat dies.
No, that doesn't happen. There's one chat group we're in and I hardly post in it anymore.
Because you kept killing it.
My daughter wants to be on the podcast tonight. I don't know why, but Sophie, say hi to everyone.
Hi.
Okay.
Hi.
All right. Do you want to let Daddy's not going to edit this out. So do you want to let Daddy go finish the podcast?
No, thank you.
Okay. So how does it work when you all pick a barrel, right? Because how many barrels have you all put out now? You all pick the barrels and you're not really doing a whole lot of blends here as much as it's more.
49 minutes and 45 seconds?
Yeah, we've been on for 49 minutes, baby. How does it work when y'all pick a barrel? Is it more like y'all are tasting them, you blending them together? What's that process like for Hidden Barn?
So the majority of our products are blends. And when I say blend, I don't mean blended whiskey. I mean, it's batches. It's very small batch releases. We've done a handful of single barrels, but for the most part, screening through the liquid is the first step is a defect check. And then the next step is more of like a descriptive analysis, if you will, of like flavor compounds. But outside of that, every now and then you come across one or two that are like, oh my gosh, on its own, this one stands up. So hold it in your back pocket. But I think, a situation a lot of people get into with that strategy of offering not only a small core brand plus single barrels is they start picking out all of their really good barrels for their single barrels. And you end up with nothing but the shabby barrels that you hope, like, mediocre plus mediocre doesn't equal great. Like, you got to get that through your head. And I know firsthand that there are other brands that have run into this issue of like, they put all their unicorns out there alone, which is great, but you still have to save some of those barrels that are incredibly stable on their own for your batch, especially when the batch sizes are as small as they're with Hidden Barn. I mean, the biggest batch we put together is 22 barrels, and that's it. We've done as low as 3 barrels, 4 for a bourbon, but 3 for a finished product. So you have to be really careful about what barrels go into what, because you will taste every single one of them, and that's on purpose. So.
Yeah, I was going to say, you guys have done some finishes, and I can't remember off the top of my head what they are. I know they're out there, or were
I love
out
how
there.
much you guys came prepared for this podcast. Like, you got John over here saying, I know you guys do mostly single barrels, and I got you going, I don't even really know what they are, but like that's
No, sorry. We have come prepared. Listen.
I mean, if they showed up at my door and I got to drink them, I would have more firsthand knowledge.
Oh, nice.
Oh,
We appreciate that. We also appreciate the night that you spent with us where we got to drink through everything. And
Yeah.
Jackie, I am sorry that I have a 7-year-old that is all upon me.
Hey, I get it. Oh my God,
And
if anyone gets it.
No, I mean, I know you get it. So I'm sorry. I know that we have drank through
Fine.
all of the different batches you've had. I apologize for my miscue there. But
It's okay. Just edit it out, and then no one will know that you ever did it.
no, but at this point, I'm just going to leave it because it's funnier. It's funnier to, like, we know that it's funnier to leave it there than it is to take it out. So
He had something a few weeks ago, and like he just rips a burp. And I happen to listen to it at work because I honestly don't listen to much of our stuff. I got better shit to do. But
and Zeke's like,
I'm
you
like,
left that burp in there? And I'm like, yeah, it's funny.
he's like, huh? I'm like, yeah, dude, you just rip a burp mid podcast. He's like, oh shit, hold on.
No, but Zeke normally is the one that rips a burp in a podcast, but it was so we know we have all these batches now. We know we have, you know, all this stuff that's going with Hidden Barn. What's the future looking like? I mean, you know, you have the partnership with Neely, you know, like, is there something out there to kind of get like a shelfer that's always going to be out there? What is the plan?
I need you to give me more words around shelfer.
I would think he
What does
means
shelfer
more of
mean to
a
you?
like.
So
you know, just
shelfer
a
is something
consistent
that
daily drinker that
Yes.
has the same profile repetitiously.
so a shelfer is going to be
Repetitiously.
hold on. A shelfer is going to be something that is always going to be on the shelf, right? Like, you know, you're going to have multiple states. Hidden Barn right now, if you think about it, it is a collection of limited time offerings, right? Like it, you know, in the sense of like, yeah, you might have 22 barrels in a blend, but once that blend is done, it's done and it's in a limited amount of states. Like I'm talking about shelfer as something that, you know, you're going to go down to the liquor store and you know you're going to see Hidden Barn. It's going to be there. Like it has a presence. It's not one of those things that, you know, you've done your blend, when it's gone, it's gone. Like, is there more of like a permanent offering in liquor stores for like a daily drinker?
So I think one of the really interesting and unique concepts with Hidden Barn is that these small batches are meant to have common denominator flavor profile to them based on what the series is. So series 1 is Neely and series 2 is High Rye. And right now that's coming out of Roland. But so there's always a commonality there, but the flavor profile does change a little bit because it is so small batch, right? Naturally so. As far as having something that's consistent, we might eventually release something that's a little bit more consistent flavor profile wise. But we like to be able to showcase the variances in the barrels. We like to have these batches that are different. And like,
so like when you find it, it's like another day in paradise.
Was this a joke? Was that a joke that like, okay.
God almighty knows.
It's a
Bottom line is, if there was something in the works, I couldn't tell you about it now, but you'll get the press kit when you need to. I'm not going to leak
We'll
out.
get it. I mean, against all odds, we will get it. And like, we will be here. It will be magic. And, you know, like anything that Hidden Barn puts out is an easy lover for us.
I appreciate it. I will say this.
I will continue to put Phil Collins songs in this podcast.
I know. I swear. I'm just not acknowledging it anymore. I'm just like, okay.
Yeah, no, it's like when you go to the zoo. Don't feed him. just let it go.
But I mean, the other thing is, and Zeke was right. We did a finish. We've only done one finish, and it was a Madeira finish. But yeah, so we had a Madeira finish, and we were very fortunate. It got a double gold at San Francisco as well, along with our small batch Series 1 got double gold, and then our Series 2, our high rye bourbon got a gold. So we were very, very fortunate of those. We want to keep building on that. I think, like Jackie said earlier, the cool thing is we can do whatever the heck we want. So we will continue to put out quality whiskey. That's the most important thing. Whiskey that's not flawed, whiskey that has quality. Let Jackie, use her skill set to make fantastic balanced batches. And we may have different mash bills coming up. We may have more finished product coming up. We may have other things like that. But those are things, obviously, that until they're out and done, it's like we won't talk too much about, just out of respect to the people we're partnering with and working with. But one thing you do know is once it comes out, we're fully transparent with everything we do. So when we release these products, you will know exactly where they're from, what's in it, down to the cooperage of the barrels. That is one thing that was important to all four of us, and especially Jackie and I, is that we are fully transparent with what is going into the bottles and what is going into your glass, and that you always will have access to seeing that. And if you go to our site, you'll always see, like, it'll say how many barrels were in it, what was the proof, what was where it was from, and those are things that we want people to know. And down to char level, it's a 2 char for Series 1, a 3 char for Series 2, and those things. We want people to know that because it's important, I think, as part of the experience when you open and share and have those conversations.
Are there any cooperages you like more than others? I mean, and I'm not trying to like get you to say anything that, obviously at this point, like, you just need to get barrels. So like, I'm not trying to like say something that would piss off a cooperage, but are there some that you're kind of liking more than others, or what?
Yeah, and I think that it's not liking more than others. I think there's one that we're really happy with, that we feel like there's really quality out of, Zach Cooperage. I think that there's some really quality barrels that come out of there for us. Now, that means that we probably there'll be a run for those barrels when we announce it. But one thing is we have good relationships with our partners, and but we do a 2-year seasoned air stave. So, these aren't cheap barrels. These aren't barrels that are just, getting put together after 4 or 6 months. These are put together with staves that have been out in the yard for 2 years, getting those tannins out, seasoning, and coming together. And we want to use quality barrels because we think it's important. When you're putting out a 4 to 6 year product, you want to have quality barrels. And so that I would say that there's, we've worked with a few different cooperages, and there hasn't been one yet that we've worked with that we haven't been happy with. But Zach Cooperage is one that we've worked with probably the most, and appreciate Zach and what they do.
And Jessica Ann, right? Is she? Yep. She's over there.
Well, she has her own barrel, but she helps us on the other end with finished barrels. Jessica Ann is part of a company that does finishing and finished barrels, not Zach Cooperage, but she does finished barrels, and sometimes they're able to find us barrels that are fantastic as well. And again, we hate saying it out loud because, there's a lot of people looking for barrels, but we also want to give them their due. Like, these are people that look at quality like we do and want to make sure that what they're getting us is quality barrels as well. So,
yeah, I mean, I have to wonder if it's this day and age, it definitely seems like barrel quality can be more noticeable in things. And I wonder if it's necessarily not a reflection on the cooperage as much as it could be. I mean, how good's the wood out there that's available to begin with? And we all know trees don't grow overnight. So it's not like you want to say, like, well, so-and-so makes great barrels, somebody else makes half-assed ones. I think there's enough variables in there that, you couldn't really pin it on one thing, would be my guess.
Yeah, there's way too many variables. Keep in mind, the majority of the stuff that we are messing around with, we're buying later in the game. Like, when it comes to us laying down new make and such, like, we can start being a little choosy with cooperages. But right now, we're kind of in this exploratory phase of like getting to really see the differences, cooperage to cooperage and style to style of these barrels. Or my perspective, anyways. See, I was dealing with liquid that was all coming out of the exact same cooperage for the past like almost a decade, right?
And it was all the brown formage cooperage, right? Like the one out of Alabama, or so
here in Louisville.
Oh, okay.
Well, I was going to ask.
They also have one down there too, but it mostly services Jack.
Because I'm sure, both of y'all, like John and us, we nerd geek out, whatever you want to call it. But I'm sure between having access to different distilleries' products, blending that into batches, possibly cross blending it, playing with everything else, like, I can imagine it's almost harder to rein it in, on focus on, all right, what the hell are we going to do today? What's going to be the next release? Because we just threw 10 ideas on the board and we all loved all of them, but we can't do 10 damn things at once. So like, what's it going to be? I can see that being, like, all right, we got to vote on this or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think we have a lot to play with, a lot of options, and that can be kind of overwhelming to a certain extent. But miraculously, we all really align on what we think the best next moves are. So far, so good, I guess. I don't know. We haven't had our first fight yet, so we'll see how that goes.
Well,
It's coming one of these days, I'm sure.
And it's something I talked about. I mean, we this is admittedly going to go out. I'm going to put this out this week before I put out our podcast we did with Jeff Hoffmeyer from the Brindiamo Group. But, the Brindiamo Group is giving a lot of people barrels, and he's a huge brokerage and all that kind of stuff. But we kind of talked about how, like, brands don't have to be like, you don't have to go out there and be like, I'm going to be 100,000 case brand. Like, like, and I think for y'all, it's like, as long as you're sustaining yourself, as long as you are, paying the bills, as long as you are getting to continue doing what you're doing, you don't have to go out there and like, it's not for every brand to go out there and build themselves out to be the biggest brand in the whole entire world. Like, as long as you're happy doing what you're doing, you're good.
Correct.
Yep. True.
Y'all, what states are you in? What do you want to say before we close out? Where do you see this thing kind of going?
Dummy.
What?
We did that. Talk about the pick.
Oh, we got to talk about the pick. Yes, we did a pick.
Christ.
Hey,
Ta-da!
I'm sorry. I'm a little.
This is why it keeps me around.
Glad you're around.
This is why it keeps me around.
No, Zeke is making his worth, as I have a 7-year-old who has come in the bourbon room. Like, this normally doesn't. So just so you both know, this normally does not happen. Like, my daughter normally does not come in the room while I'm trying to do a podcast. But Sophie, so this is a whole thing where we got together, we all had a great night, and it turned into one of those nights. Like, the night that the four of us had together was one of those ones that I live for in bourbon, in the sense of, like, I brought all the equipment, like, we were going to record, and then we realized, like, nah, we're just going to be friends tonight. Like, this is not going to be one of those nights where we end up recording and making this, like, quote unquote work. We picked a single barrel, and it was a damn good single barrel too. And we are putting this out for Father's Day. For those of you that want to get it, we're going to make sure where is this one going to be located? I know Zeke has been closer to this than me, but we are going to get this out there for everyone. We have picked a hidden barn. We picked it with Nate. We picked it with Jackie. We had a great night together. Where is this one going to be?
Sealbox.
Sealbox.com.
Sealbox.com.
And I believe for anyone that wants to buy multis, I'm sure John will be in charge of our press later for all this and the things he does do well, unlike remembering that we did a barrel pick about a month ago. But
no,
yeah, but this is exciting. So, like, I know you guys have like a code or something, or
yep.
what are you giving the people
I think it's just going to be dads and anybody that wants to buy multis. It'll be a $15 discount, I believe is what Matt sent over. He and I talked about that as far as some kind of promotion, and being Father's Day, obviously super stoked, happy, thankful, etc. All those wonderful words to do literally the first single barrel you guys have offered. It being Father's Day, clearly that always hits a good spot for John.
Is it the first single barrel they've offered?
Well, this is the first one of our new program. So you guys are actually getting the first single barrel where we did proof to taste, and where we started out cast strength, and you guys were able to proof it down.
I knew the answer to that, Zeke. Zeke's shaking his head at me. So one thing they teach you when you actually do professional radio is they say don't ask any questions you don't know the answer to already. So, like, when I was asking him that, I wanted him to explain, just so you know.
Yeah.
Is this
But it is
professional? Would you call this professional, John?
Not really. I used to be
He just spit
professional.
out whatever he was drinking.
When-
Why can't we have video for this?
When,
Oh my
when,
God.
when I was on ESPN and the Horse Racing Radio Network, Jackie, that was professional. This is not professional. When I won an actual Eclipse Award, and which is like the Grammys in horse racing, that was professional. This is far from that. My 7-year-old has been hanging on me for 25 minutes, and I finally got her to cut out of the room.
I'm just glad I
It's
didn't
all good.
cuss. Yeah, I'm glad I didn't
It's all
cuss.
good. But it is exciting because we have done, a handful of single barrels at barrel strength, and all of our small batches are offered at barrel strength. But I always have been a firm believer that not every barrel is its best as it comes out. Like sometimes a little bit of proofing down will definitely help the flavors a little bit. So we went through a big tasting with you guys, and you ended up with barrel 1058. It was filled June 22nd, 2018, and you're getting it at 103 proof.
And to that,
You're welcome.
they'd brought in samples. We had 4 separate barrels, right? Or
Yeah.
is it 8?
Yeah.
No, I mean, we
4
tasted
barrels, 2 different
everything.
proofs, right?
Yeah.
We tasted everything,
Yeah, so
Zeke.
4 barrels at 2 different proofs. One was cask strength. One had a little bit of water thrown in there, where Jackie thought it was also very presentable. And then, ironically enough, as we're bullshitting later, we've picked a barrel basically, and then say, well, I wonder what it tastes like in the middle 2 proofs between 107 proof and
That's
100.
right.
Yep.
So we mix it 50-50, and then it still like has a ton of sweetness. It's a crusher, honest to goodness. Like it had just enough pop to where, you're drinking something, finished well. Like it just held on to everything front to back as much as you could want something to.
And
like
for
I said,
those of you that
also-
know what Zeke and I like we love those sweet crushers. And the fact that, we're tasting things for you and we're giving you our reviews, and we got to be on those nights and we got to taste everything. But when we're off, we just want a sweet crusher. That's that's just what we want, and y'all know that. And thankfully, Jackie and Nate were so nice to work with us, and that's the thing I will say about doing a pick with Hidden Barn and doing this whole thing. They let us tune it in exactly where we wanted it to be, and that is there's some things when you do a pick and you do a single barrel, you're going to do that pick, but you're not dialing it in to the proof that you want it to be. And that is what kind of sets them apart right now, is that we got to we're all right, we know it's this barrel, but let's play around with it a little bit more. And they were like, cool, let's do it. And P.S., do you want to order pizza? And that was the best part about the whole night, is that we had pizza. We were at the whiskey house. It was a great night. I can't say enough about the pick experience with Hidden Barn.
I appreciate that, man. We had a great time. I've been to the whiskey house a few times, and this was a new location. I always appreciate it. Zeke and I first met at one of the older whiskey houses. Zeke, I don't know what year that was, but
no, that was in 12 South. That's when Zeke used to take a run. That was when Zeke was with his ex, and he'd go take a run, and he'd go by the whiskey house and have a pour in the middle of his run.
This was at night. Thank you. It was at night.
Yeah.
Zeke's like, hey, I'm going for a run right now. I'll be back. And then a couple pours later, that was a tough run.
No.
Hey, it was tough. Sweat out, put in, sweat out again.
Heck yeah.
Makes sense to me.
But Nate, we
Whatever it takes.
were so happy to have you there.
Yeah, it's good, and I've always appreciated you guys. I know, and you guys going back to early days of 5280, so I appreciate the support, and we wanted to support you all. I mean, even though we're not officially in Tennessee, we wanted to. We felt it was important to give you guys an opportunity, just because we appreciate you guys and what you all do too for the whiskey world. So thank thank you for that.
No, we appreciate, I mean, and I'll just say, closing this whole thing out, Nate, you have been everything you have done from 5280 to the very beginning. I mean, like, for people that don't know, I still have a little bit left in my Stranahan Snowflake that Nate sent me from like 2018. Like,
that's the night I almost died, but
yeah,
yes, I remember that.
But
Yeah.
Nate, literally, like, we love you. You have always been one of those people for us. And this isn't like, for those of you listening, right? Like, we love Hidden Barn. We've tasted through, and we've got to taste, like, I got to taste at the Whiskey House all of Hidden Barn. And then right after we went to the Whiskey House, I went down to New Orleans and I got to taste again everything that was in Hidden Barn. And, when I was at the New Orleans Bourbon Festival, 90% of the time I spent at the grand tasting, I was with the Hidden Barn crew, because they just are the best crew of the whole place. But, I got to taste a lot of Hidden Barn, and I love what they're doing. It's not just one of these things where we're paying them lip service because they're friends. Like, what they are doing is incredible. What they're able to do with Royce Neely and Neely Family Distillery is great. What they're able to do in their own right with the whiskey they're getting is great. Against all odds, they are just doing, like, I wish it would rain down Hidden Barn whiskey all the time. And I can't stop loving you. You are two worlds coming together.
You have to stop.
You are two worlds coming together to make this incredible whiskey. It is magic. It truly is magic. And if I had a studio, I would invite all of you to come and make whiskey in my studio. But you all were the best. I really appreciate you. I really appreciate everything you're doing. And thank you so much for coming on Dad's Drinking Bourbon. I don't care anymore. There's no more strangers like me. We're friends. And I will stop doing Phil Collins songs now.
It's almost impressive, unless, like, do you have a list of song titles in front of you right now that you're referencing?
I don't.
I'm, moderately impressed.
He's got the Googles. Don't let him lie to you.
No, I don't have the Googles up right now. I don't, Zeke. I don't. Don't look at me that way. I don't.
That's impressive. Yeah.
I think that's the first time that we've ever been complimented in that format, though. So thank you very much for that. Very unique experience.
you both are easy lovers. And
God damn it.
Jesus.
It's just not, I kind of want to just let you keep going.
No,
don't encourage
like
this.
A 3-hour podcast just to see how much you can do with this.
So Jackie, have you ever met?
Don't feed the animals.
Have you ever met Tim Heisler from Beam?
Maybe.
Tim is one of my favorite people, and he came on a podcast, and he had just gone to see Rage Against the Machine. And so I put 29 Rage Against the Machine song titles into the podcast. Like, I was saying, like, I was like, Freddie, no, he was like calm like a bomb before, like, his dad gave him his own distillery. And then he came out with another bomb track. And, like, this whole, like, it's one of my favorite things to do.
I'll take care of what you need to take care of, because I have a brilliant idea for you, and I won't even charge you anything for this. You just take this and run with it.
Does it involve him running his head into a wall?
Should it? I mean,
I hope.
No. Okay.
That's the most brilliant idea I'm going to hear.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. I feel like you need to release a playlist of every song title you reference in your episodes, and have you need to have like
a Spotify playlist.
Channel. Yes. Why don't you do that?
I'm down for this.
It'd be all T Swift. That's all he listens to.
No, apparently it's going to be Phil Collins quite a bit today.
Phil Collins, Rage Against the Machine, T Swift. It's everything. But
this sounds pretty epic.
Y'all are the best. Thank you so much for joining Dad's Drinking Bourbon. We can't wait to see where Hidden Barn goes. Where can the folks find you?
hiddenbarn.com.
Okay. Is it hiddenbarnwhiskey.com? Is it
hiddenbarnwhiskey.com. But also, you know what? If you go there, you can sign up for a newsletter that we have, and we've been growing that. And there's actually some cool shit we put out through that newsletter. And so that's through hiddenbarnwhiskey.com. And then we're on Instagram, hidden_barn.
Perfect. You can go ahead and find us on Facebook at Dad's Drinking Bourbon, Twitter at Bourbon Dads, Instagram at Dad's Drinking Bourbon. Find us on Facebook at Dad's Drinking Bourbon. Please leave us an open and honest review, just like we leave open and honest reviews about the whiskey we drink. Zeke, I'm sorry for cutting you off. I am getting pulled away right now because it's bedtime. But thank you, Jackie and Nate. We really appreciated having both of you on. And we can't wait to see where Hidden Barn goes in the future.
Thanks, guys. Cheers, and look forward to hanging out with you in the near future.
Cheers, y'all.
All right.
Out.